What has changed today is that with the advent of technology, instead of doing surveys, we also have new tools that are there where we can collect a lot of real-time data. This can be data about people who are going for shopping in the retail markets, or it can be mobile phone data, it can be any other data. So a range of data points are there. So we are getting many more data today. So we can actually augment whatever is happening through a survey in a statistical method with the real-time data.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today it is an honor and a pleasure for me to introduce you all to this very particular session where we are going to know more about the role of data science in design of public policy. My name is Harsh and I'm going to moderate this session for all of you wherein I'm going to introduce you all about session and perhaps the person who is going to interact and address all of us. First of all, I request you all to kindly acknowledge and welcome the presence of our esteemed guest, and he's very dynamic, very interesting personality, none other than Dr. Avik Sarkar, who is here with us. I would like to request all the persons, those who are watching this session on YouTube, to kindly upload in the comment section and welcome the presence of our guest. Our guest, Dr. Avik Sarkar, is a faculty at Indian School of Business, working in the areas of data, emerging technology, and public policy. At ISB, Dr. Sarkar is heading the development of India Data Portal, one-stop portal for analysis and visualization of government data, and working on the societal aspect related to the use of emerging technologies like trustworthiness, ethics, and privacy. Dr. Sarkar was the former head of data analytics cell and officer on special duty at Niti Aayog Premium Policy Think Tank of Government of India. At Niti Aayog, Dr. Sarkar helped in developing India's first AI strategy and roadmap for use of data analytics and artificial intelligence for governance, policymaking across various sectors of India's inclusive growth, and led effort towards setting up of the high-performance computing-based data analytics lab and emerging modeling unit at Niti Aayog. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Sarkar has over 20 years of experience across different aspects of artificial intelligence, data scientist, analytics, statistical modeling, text mining, network analysis across companies like Accenture, IBM, Nokia, NASA, Persistent Systems, Zycus, etc. Dr. Sarkar holds PhD from the Open University, UK, Master from Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, and Bachelors from Calcutta University. Dr. Sarkar has authored several technical publications and technology patents, and I believe his profile has so many things, so many glories, which I won't be able to explain in next few minutes. But I'm pretty sure during this conversation, we are going to learn a lot from him. So first of all, sir, I welcome you to this session. Thank you so much for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
Thanks, Ash. Thanks for this opportunity. It's really nice to talk with you today.
Thank you so much, sir. It's our pleasure too. So moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen is data science in the design of public policy, dispelling the obscurity in matching policy demand and data offer. In layman terms, data can be defined as a collection of facts such as numbers, words, measurement, observation, or just description of things. So my first question to you is how actually data became one of the most important resources of the 21st century?
So data is very important. Not only in the 21st century, it has always been a very important aspect, particularly in policy making or any decision making arena that you go into. Data is very important. So previously, the term data was less used, but maybe if you look at 100 or 200 years back, people would rely a lot on statistics, and they would roll out surveys because technology was limited at that time. They would actually go and do house-to-house survey and get the required data that would be required for the purpose of any decision making. What has changed today is that with the advent of technology, instead of doing surveys, we also have new tools that are there where we can collect a lot of real-time data. This can be data about people who are going for shopping in the retail markets, or it can be mobile phone data, it can be any other data. So a range of data points that are there. So we are getting many more data today. So we can actually augment whatever is happening through the surveys and the statistical methods with the real-time data. And that has also bring us to a phase where we have a huge amount of data that we can use for various decision-making purposes. And that brings us to the important stage of data today.
Indeed, sir, it is very hard to disagree with you. And I think you have explained the importance of data. Not in this 21st century, data was always have its own importance and always used for many things, like as you have told. Sir, my next question to you is today, data is everywhere, as you have mentioned. Big data, data science, and analytics are impacting each and every domain: education, healthcare, energy and environment, banking and finance, transportation, travel and tourism, national security, etc. The public policy sector is also not an exception. Sir, how do you see the growing role of data science, analytics, and public policy data scientist?
Good. So that's a very good question, because the use of data and data science is not only limited to the policy making or the public policy sector. This is possibly one of the emerging sectors. But if you see, there are many other sectors where data has been used a lot over the past. Like, say, if you look at the online companies like Facebook and Google, they are primarily data rich companies. So they have data of the preferences of customers, and based on which their advertising models run. So they are running it on that business model. If you look at the banking industry, there is huge amounts of data that is there in the banking and the insurance industry that has been used for decision making in real time, on the go all the time. So and there data been used in every sectors today. Even you mentioned about healthcare and agriculture. Agriculture seems like a very old world system, but today we have several companies in India which are actually using data analytics and data science in the agriculture sectors. The way they are doing it is that, yeah, they are monitoring a farmland in real time through satellite imagery, through the weather conditions, and providing advisory to farmers about what is the best time to sow their crop, what is the best time to reap their harvest, and things of those nature. Even a sector like agriculture, there is huge impact of data science there, and such techniques are actually seeing farmers receiving better yield of their products. In healthcare, there is a lot of data science there where patients can get a secondary opinion on various things. Then data is helping doctors do their work faster. So data science has penetrated in every domain. And it's I think the similar is the case with the domain of public policy practitioners. They have in the past relied a lot on the traditional statistical data for their evidence and evidence purposes. Now, taking advantage of the current data scenario, they would like to see what are the other data points that you can see in real time, and get a sense about the development of the area. Let me give you one example. So one particular data point that is required is that in public policy, we always want to understand how developed a particular area is and how is the development happening in a particular area. That is one of the major understanding of the policy practitioners. One very inexpensive way to do it is through looking at the satellite imagery. So there are a lot of satellites which circle around the Earth across time. This can be satellites from US, from Europe, from Japan, from India, a range of satellites. So these satellites can give you the luminosity of a place. The luminosity is means in the night time how much light is been emitted from a particular place. So you can see the cities emit more light as compared to the villages. So and if you can monitor a city over months, then you can see whether there's an increase in the luminosity of a place or a decrease in the luminosity. That is a very good indicator to see how the development and how the businesses are happening in that area. So that's one way. Then satellite imagery based things can also help us in seeing a lot of other things, like say the road network. How is the road network being developed, or how is the urbanization in the area? What I mean by urbanization is that, say 50 years back, you see a particular plot of city, and you see it was all green, either forest land or barren land was there. And over time, you see that houses have started building there, houses, roads, shops, and things of those nature. This is from daytime images. So, and you can look into these images and see that if there is a lot of houses being built in this area, that means there is a lot of development activity and economic activity is happening in those areas, and that is a good indication of the economic activity, how much economy is growing in that area. So these are data points that you can then use
Indeed,
to
sir.
complement with the data that has been already been collected by the government. Yes, so there are already other data points, like say you are capturing on the GDP, you are capturing on the index of the prices, you are capturing about various other aspects through the surveys, and you can actually complement this data with satellite imagery as one of the data points to understand how the development is going. So like this, there are a lot of data points that you can use today, as you mentioned about big data, that can be complemented with the traditional data points to get a real-time sense of the development in areas. Something that was possibly unaware of and was not possible 20 years back. So now those things are possible.
Indeed, sir. Again, it was a quite insightful answer from your side, and I think the viewers, those who are watching this session, they are surely going to find us useful. Not only I think, but I do strongly believe this. Sir, my next question to you is, as you have very rightly mentioned, that analytics and big data are essential to policy development in both public and private sectors. The effective use of big data holds the potential to revolutionize how public policy is created. Sir, in your opinion, what all public policy analysts need to know about data science?
Yes, so I think in data science, the public policy practitioners need to have a good bend of mind in analyzing various data points. I think that is very important. Instead of relying on just looking at some data and making two decisions, there should be a practice or a skill set that in which they can mix the various data sets coming from different sources and take an concrete opinion about that area. So say you can look into, say, if I tell you, say the data that is coming from a survey, and how can you compare the data that is coming from a survey which is done by Government of India and complement it with the type of satellite imagery that I was talking with. And you can also complement it with the statistic that is collected from the data. And also you can look into a lot of other data points, like say if you look at the electricity supply in a city, you can find out areas within the city which have high electricity consumption. So these are very good indicators to see which are areas within the city which are possibly high electricity consumption, which might be because they have industrial activity in those areas versus maybe they are only residential. Depending on which time of the day their electricity consumption is high, you can get a sense of what is the type of activity happening. If say during the office hours between 2 10 to 4 p.m. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. there's a high consumption of electricity in particular buildings, then you can think that they are mostly industrial sort of usage. Whereas if the consumption is more in the evening time, you can think more that this is more of a household sort of usage when people come back home. So based on the time of the day, usage of electricity also can give you these trends. But the practice that policy practitioner needs to have is that first making sense of this data, because these are huge volumes of data. How do you analyze this data and synthesize this data and make sense of them? How can you combine the different data sets for a particular purpose? I think these are some of the skill sets that data practitioners need to have as they go forward.
Indeed, sir. Again, you have told many important things, and I think it's a kind of privilege today we got to hear all those things from you and the kind of examples you have taken. I'm very sure the viewers who are watching this tips and they are surely going to find this insightful. Sir, my next question to you is: our Union IT Minister Sri Ravi Shankar Prasad always keeps saying India has a potential to become global data refinery center, quote unquote. According to Mr. Prasad, data would drive the digital economy and international commerce, and that it offered a great opportunity for India to emerge as a data economy, supported by innovation and data refining. In a in a data economy, the raw material is data. India produces a humongous amount of data in its digital ecosystem because of its huge population. So my question to you is, what are your views on this?
No, no, that is a very, very correct point of view. We today are in a digital economy where data is one of the very important factors there. All these data points that I told you about, say, be it satellite imagery or to look at the electricity supply data and making sense about it, there are challenges in doing such analysis. It is not very straightforward that the data is available directly. Say, if you have to first download satellite data, you have to process it and then use it for the particular purpose that is there. It's a few months of it can be from a few weeks to months of time effort that is required. So that is not always straightforward. You need data scientists to understand these technologies to deal with this data and make sense out of it. So the one very important aspect that comes is that one, like how do you analyze the data and you summarize it and you use it in a meaningful manner. So that is a skill set which is really not available in abundance. But we in India, the advantage that we have is that we have a young workforce who are a lot of engineering graduate who are learning a lot of data science skills, and they can actually go out and provide these services to the rest of the world. So that is the advantage that India has over a lot of the other countries who also have a similar requirement to work with data. So given this is the scenario, working on these data points and having those skill set can actually make us a refinery. I think the word refinery is very important that the minister has used here, because you need to refine the data, the raw data that you get on the source. Like if you look at a raw satellite image, if I take the example, you cannot make any inference out of it. You will have to refine it, and then maybe after a few weeks, the relevant information that you want to extract will come out of it. So that refinement process and understanding what are the steps there, what are the technicalities involved in there, are very important to make this data into something that is usable in nature. So I think refinery and these skill sets it becomes very important. Also very important comes the aspect that the skilling on these technologies. How can we get more and more people in India skilled in technologies like data science and artificial intelligence becomes an important aspect for the success. So the same Ministry of IT has come up with the Future Skills Platform. The same ministry, the METI, Ministry of IT and Information Technology, has come up with a Future Skills Platform that is actually providing skills on a lot of the data science skills. Like if you have the data visualization expert or a data pre-processing or any range of those skills that are there for the data economy, that these are skills that are required. Like if you in previously in the IT world, you had a different set of skill sets that you require. You required skills in project management, in software development, in software testing, software lifecycle management. So in the IT circle, the skill sets are very different. It is more like data engineer, data pre-processing, data visualizer, data storyteller, predictive analytics person, machine learning analyst. So there's a range of more job roles that have come up there. And how can you pick up those skill sets and use it at your end? I think that becomes a very important aspect. So one is the future skills platform, and also the other thing is that there are a lot of these certifications in data analytics that are offered. Like say Indian School of Business has its own certification program in business analytics. which is a 1 year long program. There are a lot of other institutes, several IITs and IIMs are providing certification programs in data analytics and data science. There are other a lot of private companies like Jigsaw, Great Learning, are also providing skills on this side, including platforms like Coursera and Upgrad. I think I would ask, maybe a request, a lot of you to hearing this session is to get yourself enrolled in these courses, because that will give you the required expertise that you require to get a hands-on experience in these things. Only then you can participate in the data economy and digital economy, which is a very important factor going forward as we talk about.
So the main conclusion is there is a lot of opportunities. And sir, you have, I think, you have touched a very important element that there is a lot of program going on these online platforms like Coursera, and of course the Indian School of Business is, and of course many IITs and IIMs are providing. But the only thing is that one step needed from our side is that we need to enroll in these programs and need to learn and need to upgrade us in this growing digital needs. Sir, my next question to you is data is a lifeblood of AI. An AI system need to learn from data in order to be able to fulfill its function. And I think, sir, this is one of the most important question. But as data is collected from multiple sources, what can be the ways to ensure its quality and ensure its security?
Yes, so when we talk about AI or artificial intelligence systems uh, is dependent heavily on the data that is comes from the different systems. So without the data, you cannot build a good model, and the quality is a very important aspect. So wherever you are taking in data from various systems, you have to first do a quality check. And not only do a quality check, often the data quality is not up to the mark. So cleaning the data becomes very important to make sure the data is of good quality when it enters the AI system. I think privacy is not that much of an issue. As we talk about, there is already the proposed personal data protection bill and the non-personal data bill that is there again by the Ministry of IT. Now, what happens is that for a lot of these machine learning purposes, whenever the first thing is that we try to work with aggregate data. Aggregate data means you don't need to know maybe an individual, but you come to know about a whole village at a whole, or you come to know about a city. As I was telling you about the luminosity, we come to know about the luminosity of the whole city, about how much light is being radiated by the whole city. We don't need to know how much light is being radiated from each individual shop, and that is often not required. We want to know more high level picture, and that is more important. And when it is not an individual shop or a house, then you can be rest assured that there is no privacy laws that is happening, because we are giving an aggregate number for the whole city. And even in some applications where you might need to know the individual level details, the data is shared in an anonymized manner, in such a way that maybe you only get to know the pin code or the zip code of a particular place, and which is then followed by the consumption pattern or things like that. You do not share the mobile number or the name of the person. So all those data remains anonymized, because the machine learning model doesn't need to know the name from which the data is coming. It needs to know the attributes of the data. Like, say, if I was telling you the example of this electricity consumption, it needs to know at which time of the day the electricity consumption is high in that place, which time of the day the electricity consumption is low, and that is the data that we need to understand. We don't need to know the actual address of the people. Maybe just the pin code is enough for that purpose. So there are mechanisms that has been put in place, but the country is waiting for the data privacy bill to become the draft bill to become a law. And once that becomes a law, then a lot of stringent regulations will be seen, which will be very good for the Indian economy.
Indeed, sir. Again, it was a quite insightful answer from your side. You have touched the important element of data privacy bill. And I think, sir, the viewers those who are watching the session, they are surely going to find this insightful. And sir, I can say there's a lot more to learn from you, but today I don't want to take you much time. So moving to my last question of this session, sir, what does the future hold for careers in data science? And what is that one piece of advice will be from your side to all the viewers, those who are those who are students, those who are still in their colleges? What kind of skills they must learn in their college itself to make themselves more compatible with the industry, more compatible, make themselves more compatible with this corporate world?
I think, see, in the college, this depends on on which team they are coming up with. If they are coming from the engineering side, then it will be good if they know some amount of Python. If they are coming from the social sciences area, then it will be good if they know some amount of R coding. So some amount of coding in R or tools like SPSS or Stata will be very helpful, so that they have some sort of understanding on how to deal with data. I think that is the first step that will be there, and then further, based on their interest, they can then expand those skill set when they go into the job field. So I think having those basic understanding and basic appreciation around data is also very important. I think one of the things which is missing from the Indian education ecosystem is that appreciating data. Appreciating data doesn't require you to use the data hands-on, but maybe if there is some analysis already happening, how to take that analysis and then interpret the data and then make sense out of it. I think that is the part which can definitely help there. I think that is the area that is very important. And then how do you tell stories using data? I think database storytelling is also a very important aspect that comes in there. I think these are some of the skill sets that they need to have. Other than that, I also already mentioned to you, there's a range of courses that are there already in free YouTube or in Coursera, or they can go to some of these paid platform like Upgrad or all the IIMs have that. There is edX. edX is a very big platform. There are a lot of data science courses provided by multiple players like the Indian institutes, the foreign institutes are also providing. I think those are courses that are at different levels of complexity and different and aligned to different job sectors. So if you want to know about the financial domain, data science, there is something for you as compared to there is something for another domain. So exploring these different domains will be very helpful to understand how the whole thing is happening. So these are some of the things that I will request the viewers to look into, because getting an understanding and so that they get an understanding of the type of roles that are possible and what suits them. That also they have to find out by trying out a few things. I think these are my recommendations that will be there for the viewers.
Indeed, sir. Again, it was a wonderful advice from your side, and I think those who are watching the session, they are surely going to learn from this. Thank you so much, sir, for joining and giving your important time. It was a very healthy discussion with you over the topic. Thank you so much, sir, for joining.
Thank you very much. Bye.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside.